What's up, kids?
What's up?
Welcome back to Snackcast.
Welcome back.
So kind of cool today, right? You had a personal experience you shared with me. I thought of my own. And at the end of the day, Dimitri, our in-house trainer, is a big proponent of, like, everything's connected. Head to toe, cardiovascular to...
Yeah, I mean, there are like 10 body systems, right? I mean, your circulatory, muscle systems. I mean, it's just, if I forget them all, but there's like 10 different body systems, right? You know, and...
You only named one.
Two.
That's...
Circulatory, right? Circulatory and... The
skeletal.
Muscles, skeletal. I mean, they're all... So there's a neurological, I believe, is a system.
So tell me, what do you mean, or what does Dimitri mean when he says it's all interconnected?
Well, I guess the best example is that in any kind of like autoimmune disease or anything like that, you could have one issue and then something completely what you perceive as unrelated happen. So autoimmune diseases are a big aspect of that, but also like in strength training or in exercising, you could have one injury that perceives as pain in a certain area and it's actually something completely different.
Well, I think that's the personal kind of stories you and I went, oh,
right.
I know what you're getting. So why don't you start with yours?
So I was running a lot, and it was probably 4-ish years ago, running just a ton of my exercise was running. And I started to develop some frontal knee pain, and it was right on like the top, felt like the top of the kneecap. And I have a friend who is a chiropractor in the sports medicine arena, and he took one look at me and he said, "That's not knee pain." He goes, "Your quads are weak." He goes, "You got little weak quads." He was making a joke and a pun at me, but he was spot on accurate. If in the next 2 to 3 weeks, I spent a lot of time in the gym doing leg extensions, squats, blah, blah, blah. Knee pain went away in like a week and a half, 2 weeks. So just amazing that he saw that right away. And I mean, it's in everything. You could have plantar fasciitis and, you know, your calves are weak, right? Or you have lower back pain and your hamstrings are weak. And it's just everything in your body is connected. And for you to go that this is the area of my pain and thus you think that is the problem, that could be a big miscalculation.
You see that with gastrointestinal and medication, right? Where simply if you were to cut, we've talked about it.
Nexium, take
blue in the face,
acid reflux, right?
It could be gluten, it could be sugars, it could be all these other things, but instead we medicate it, right?
Right.
But that interconnectivity, that it's not just something in your stomach. There are other things that lead to it, other things that... So I'll share with you mine. My kids were small enough to be in soccer at church. The only reason I say that, because soccer at church only went up to like 10 years old or something like that. Soccer ball goes rolling by. I go run to get it, and it was like Walker, Texas Ranger, pow, and I go down.
Oh,
bam,
wow.
right? And I'm like, I have seriously just messed up my knee. Went and got an MRI. They gave me a brace. Turned out it was the cartilage behind the kneecap split.
Okay.
It's called chondral fissuring, right? And I'm like, okay, doc, you know, what's that mean? Is that like ACL, MCL type stuff? You know, I don't know what I'm dealing with here. And he said, no, absolutely not. Your hamstrings are too tight. I said, come again? And he said, are you stretching? And I said, of course not, you know. And it turned out that lack of stretching, my hamstrings were putting excessive pressure on my kneecap, which caused, similar to you, caused pain in my knee. I thought something was wrong with my knee.
Right.
It wasn't. Yeah, there was an injury there, but the cause of the injury had nothing to do specifically with the knee.
And you can see that in a lot of obesity and overweight, right? That a lot of excess poundage and pressures on your knees. And, you know, the importance of like the body systems is also it's just one massive ecosystem, and one area can affect the other area, which could affect the area. It's a massive snowball. Big reason why I'm a proponent of fasting. It gives everything a break.
Everything. Yeah.
You know, when you stop eating for a second, not to just go back to make it about fasting again, but when you stop eating for a second, you give your gastrointestinal. What other systems are you affecting? Not just your gut.
You know, I listened to a Bill Maher podcast, and I would never mistake Bill Maher for an athlete of sorts.
Right.
But he was talking about he actually fasts once a year, I think he said.
He goes really
for a full 7 days.
Yeah.
And he was joking, as Bill Maher does, because he's a comedian / commentator, and he said he even gives up weed. And he said that's the hardest part for him, is giving up the weed. He said, I can't write, I can't do new jokes, I can't.
That's fun.
But anyways, yeah, you know, this is a guy that, again, I would not associate with any, you know, I wouldn't have. To me, fasting for 7 days is fairly extreme,
that's
if
pretty
you will,
extreme,
you know,
right.
and he doesn't look the type. I would expect a, you know, I don't know, The Rock maybe to fast,
Right.
you know, for 7 days straight. So, anyways,
So the moral of the whole snackcast: look past the obvious.
yeah, maybe it's all interconnected. Inflammation here could be pointing to a problem there, and
Cancer down the road.
you know, the flip side is Occam's razor, right? The easiest explanation is often the best, and I certainly wouldn't want to coach anyone away from the obvious answer.
But when it comes to the body, it looks like there's some dark secrets.
I think it's what we know, right? If you ignore any of the major areas, whether it's nutrition, exercise, mental health, whatever, if you ignore one of those areas, you're going to end up with problems, and oftentimes those problems will tie right back to what you had ignored and not some mystical phantom injury or disease.
Semi-deep.
Yeah, semi-deep. It's like, you know, deep as a puddle.
All right.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in today. That conversation was actually sparked by Dimitri, our trainer, and the whole connectivity thing. And we hope you did enjoy it. Questions, comments, concerns, hit us up at snackcast@yes.fit. There's never a .com on the end. It's just yes.fit.
Stay moving.
See ya.